Humans have always wondered how the world works, and the best way to find out has usually been trial and error. What we call classical physics began in the late 1500s when, legend has it, Galileo dropped two different objects off the Leaning Tower of Pisa to prove that all objects fall at the same rate regardless of weight. And for the next 200 years or so, the same no-nonsense, seeing is believing approach enabled physicists to develop other sensible ideas like Isaac Newton's laws of mechanics and James Clerk Maxwell's laws of electromagnetism. Classical physics helped explain all sorts of things, from the existence of radio waves to the motion of the planets. Anything scientists didn't know, they believed they could learn by following Galileo's tried and true methods of devising experiments, taking careful measurements, and comparing the results against the predictions of mathematical laws.
Just as I hypothesized. We classical physicists were so certain of our ideas that we compiled an entire series of fundamental assumptions. A list of what we irrefutably knew about the material world.
Number 1.
The universe can be visualized as a giant machine. Complicated movement can be understood as the simple movements of the machines in the parts.
Number 2.
All motion has a cause. When you see an object moving, you can always figure out what caused it to move. Maxwell, I thought I told you this lab is not a playground. Sorry, Newton.
Number 3.
An object's state of motion is known at a given point. It can be determined at any other point in the object's future or past. It's simply a matter of examining the object's momentum. What direction it's traveling, what it bumps into, what gravity it encounters, and so on. Simple stuff, really. We call this concept determinism.
Number 4.
Light can be understood as a series of electromagnetic waves that travel through space at the speed of, well, light.
Number 5.
Energy in motion can be represented two ways. As energy carried by a particle. Ow, ow, ow! Oh, you stupid apples. Or energy carried by a wave. Not that kind of wave.
Number 6.
It's possible to accurately measure the properties such as temperature or velocity of any system. All it requires is the right instruments.
By the late 19th century, classical physicists believed all these statements to be absolutely and universally true.
That's our story, and we're sticking to it.
But all six would eventually be thrown into doubt by quantum theory. Wrong, wrong, wrong.
Huh? What's that?
It turns out that classical physics works really well for things that are big and slow, like cars or footballs, or classical physicists falling through space. Quantum physics, on the other hand, deals with an entirely different world. The objects are very small, molecules and atoms and such, and they are traveling very, very fast. In 1859, Maxwell started examining the motion of gas molecules inside enclosed containers at different temperatures. He quickly realized it would be virtually impossible to accurately measure the individual velocity of molecules, especially a quadrillion of them.
Forget this.
So he decided to turn to statistics and probability to make some generalizations about the molecules. In other words, he used his best judgment.
That's close enough.
And in so doing, was able to predict the probable range of velocities relative to an average velocity.
That's completely ridiculous.
Quantum theory often relies on probability and sometimes seems to defy common sense. And that's according to the scientists who study it. Are you kidding me? It doesn't seem to add up. Despite this, quantum theory is awfully useful for explaining many things. The periodic table of the elements, the operation of lasers, the stability of DNA, and the origin of the Big Bang.